Alright, so I decided to go and make a quick video on how to set up a simple prototype. In this case, I'm going to make a simple Glock handgun, and I want to be able to shoot or fire, and I want to have a reload animation along with an empty animation as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to create a simple cube right here, and I'm going to go into face. I'm going to select that face and drag it back. Now, normally I'd actually have a Glock image in here, but yeah, this is just simple prototype. Actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to duplicate it. And the reason why, because I actually want this to be the slider. And so one of the things I need to do is I actually need to select this face and these faces. I'm going to go ahead and just scale those in, and then I can go ahead and delete those faces out of there. And from there, all I have to do is just come up here to edge, and I can do a polyfill. Forgot what the name of it. Oh, pin to polygon. So I'm going to select there, and then here, press G on the keyboard. I'm going to do the same thing where I'll select here, and here, I'm going to press G on the keyboard one more time. I'm going to do the same thing. There we go. So there's our slider. Duplicate this one more time and bring it down here. Now this right here will be the frame, and so what I want to do is I actually want to make the frame come in just a little bit. I'm going to put it right there. And so now is what I need to do is I can go ahead and start working on the handle. Basically this is going to be the part that just kind of slides back. And we can actually add more to this, and I think I'm going to, just because lol. So I'm going to go to face, and I'm going to press R on the keyboard to go to my rotate. I'm going to bring this in just a little bit, but then I'm going to, I need to bring this down to, oops, hold down shift and scale that down to about there. Now right here, I need to cut a hole in the side of this. And one of the easiest ways to do this is I can just grab this edge loop tool and do that very quickly and easily. Go into face, delete. I selected too many faces there, I think. No? Okay. Although I do want to bring this down just a little bit more. Something like that, I think. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back to my append to polygon tool. And I'm just going to go ahead and do this real quick, just because I can. I think I got the other one over there backwards. No, maybe not. Alright, sweet. Now, we have this weird little, oh, I don't know what that's called, but it's just this little black half. A lot of times you can just go up here to mesh display and click on soften harden edges, and those will realign the face normals. Little simple thing you can do. And is what we're going to want to do is we actually want to do the same thing up here. And so, well, first what I want to do is I actually want to click on these and then move them out. Now I could cut these real quick and go ahead and fix that, but I don't want to, so I'm not. And let's see, let's go ahead and do the same thing up here. So that is not the right tool I want. I need this guy. So we're going to do this real quick. Select that, and then select that, delete. And the other option we have with Maya is we can just select this whole outer edge, and then deselect these two little edges that come up, and then we can just bridge these. A lot of times that'll work as well, and it keeps the face normals where they're at instead of having to use the append to polygon tool. So the next thing that we have is, oh wait, I actually screwed up on that. Delete that. We'll do the same thing here. Ah, how dare you. There we go. And let's go ahead and just do the same thing. We'll just bridge that, and there we go. So now we have a very basic Glock shape. And actually, I need to go ahead and bring this down now. Right over there. There we go. And so we have this hole right here. Now, I know that you won't normally see this hole. So one of the things I need to do is I actually need to make this longer. Probably something like that. If I had an image, an actual reference image, this would be a lot better. Unfortunately, I do not. So wait, this goes back. actually want to select these right here and move these forward. Also need to select these up here. And now I can move these forward. And so this part right here is what we want to do right here is actually come in here to edge. Let's see if we can select this edge over here. I'm actually going to bring this down where it's at an angle. And then I'll just simply select these faces right here. There we go. And I'll just move these over like so. And so now is what we'll have is we'll actually have something that's a little better of a representation. So when it slides back, there's where the shell will be ejected from. And I could do a lot more work to this, but I'm not going to. This is just a simple prototype. This right here will be represented as the magazine. Probably need to go ahead and make this a little bit wider. Something like that, I think. So this right here will be the magazine. And then for this part right here, the frame, let's go ahead and click on this, and we'll just go ahead and drag this down like so. There we go. And next thing I want to do is go ahead and shift select and just move that out for the time being. Now all I need to do, last steps, is let me go ahead and create the frame for where the trigger will be around. There we go. Just move that up. I know this is a very crude looking model. All it is just a simple prototype version. Wait, I have this cube I can use, so I'm going to use this cube one more time. Drag it up here. There we go. Now I can grab this. Let me go ahead and select this face. There we go. And let me just go ahead and drag this up right about there. Move it in. That looks good. I don't see it clipping. So now I can go ahead and drag this in here. Bring this down. There we go. Then all I have to do is just drag this up like so, drag this back like so, and these actually don't look half bad. Yeah, those don't look half bad at all. So now I can move this up. This is already lined up with the bottom, so that's good. Let's go into the side view real quick. Come in here. We'll right click, go into vertex, move this up. I'll move that one in just a little bit. Come on, Maya, you can do it. Alright, so here's our basic block shape. So this will be the slider. This will be the frame. Magazine. Trigger. There we go. Next thing I want to do is go to edit, delete all by type, history, center pivot. And the last thing I want to do is go to modify freeze transformations. And just to be on the safe side, let's go ahead and do the history deletion one more time. Some of these is what you want to do is actually go into center pivot and change the, or not center pivot, but you want to hit insert and change a pivot of it. I'm not too worried about that with the slider. However, I am kind of worried about that with the trigger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the side view real quick. I say real quick, but mine is taking a while to load. And I'm just going to move this up here and move that down. Bring that up just a little bit. There we go. So now what I can do is I can go ahead and select all of these, Control G to group them, and this will be called Glock Group. And so from there I can just go to File, Export All, Export All. Come on, Maya, this is ridiculous. I'm just going to save this on my... Actually, I don't want to save it on my desktop. You guys will be horrified if you see my desktop. So I'm just going to save it in my documents. Mockup. And so we'll go into documents. Now I already have a window open right here, and I'm going to go ahead and drag that in here. Now we're going to go into Unity. So we'll let Unity pull this up, and there it is. We will click on this. I'm going to go ahead and set the size to 100 just to make sure it's large enough. Drag it up here into my scene and hit apply on those changes. Press F to zoom in on it. So the first thing we want to do is, if we had materials inside, like that we made with the UV map or whatever, then we go ahead and import those. But since it's just a simple mock-up, I'm not worried about that. So let's go ahead and start working on the scripts, or the script, shall I say. If you've seen my videos before, you know how I feel about this. This is crap, get rid of it. So the first thing we're going to do is, we know that we're going to press the F key to fire and R key to reload. So we'll go and type in update. We're going to say if input dot get key down. How dare you? Key code, let's see, F, because we want to shoot. Shoot weapon. Come on. Seriously? If input dot get key down, key code, and we said R to reload. So then we will reload weapon. Now I already know I'm going to need an animator in here, so I'm going to say serialize field animator anim, which means we need a start, and we're going to have to say anim equals get component animator. Now, one thing I want to make note of, because I already know that this is going to be on the Glock group itself, I'm not worried about having to do something like this, where I actually have to specify which one it is. This is the animation window, or the animators are going to be attached to the object itself. So I'm not really worried about that. Will also need two ints, so we're going to say public int, and this will be max ammo, and we'll say private int current ammo, and we're actually going to say current ammo equals max ammo at the start. And every time we press this key, we're actually wanting to say oh, come on, current ammo minus minus. There we go. If we press R, we're going to want to say current ammo equals max ammo, because this will reload the weapon. So let's go ahead and come back in here into Unity, and I'm actually going to click on the Glock mockup. I'm going to turn this into a prefab by just simply dragging it down here. I'm going to say original prefab. Let's go ahead and drag this script up on here. Max ammo, I believe 16 rounds. Been a while since, been a long time since I've actually seen a Glock, so I don't know. So we have the non-animator, so that means that's the next thing we do. We need to go into animation. We'll click on animation, and right here, let's go ahead and create a new animation to this. So this is going to be called Glock idle. Create new clip. Glock fire. We're going to create a new clip. Glock reload, and we'll create one more called Glock empty. So from here is what we want to do. I'm actually going to drag this off over here. There we go. And this way you can kind of see what I'm doing in here. So I'm also going to drag it down so you can see these, because these are actually going to play a kind of an important role. So the first thing I want to do is I actually want to hit on the record button. I need to get the position of this slider. So an easy way of doing that is add a 1 here and then press delete. So this will automatically add a keyframe. There are other ways to do it. This is just the way I do it. I could simply just add a keyframe like this. So like the trigger, I could just simply add keyframe, which I don't want it back there. Oh, well, it's still select on the other. Trigger, there we go. Come back in here, add keyframe. Oh, it doesn't do it. Okay, never mind. Doesn't matter. So let me go back into the slider with the record still set. I need to move this back here. Or actually, I want to move this back here. Now you'll notice I'm setting this at 1 second. I'm doing that on purpose. And I will explain that here in just a second. So the next thing we want to do is we want to select the trigger. And same thing that I do before. I'll go ahead and add a rotational value right there. I'll add a keyframe right here. And then all I want to do is just move this in like so. Now the trigger is actually what's going to fire the weapon, so the weapon would not be right here. In all actuality, the trigger might be, say, right here, and then at 1/10 it'll be right here. So you pull it and it's already fired. Next thing we want to do is set the timing correctly. So a weapon actually fires really quickly. I'm just going to drag these in where they're all about even, so right there. So it's a little too fast. I'm going to move this to 1/2 second. There we go. And maybe not. Okay, there we go. I actually am fairly happy with that. Last thing I want to do is actually move this back. So what's going on is the initial burst of the shell being fired will actually launch this back, but then the spring pulls it back forward. So you have a little bit more of smoother animation. Next thing we want to do is we want to go to the reload. Or actually, let's go to the empty first. So when it's empty, is what ends up happening is, or actually I'm going to go back to fire. I'm going to click on the slider, Control C. Then we'll go to empty, Control V. So this way I have my keyframe already set. Whenever it's empty, oh wait, one more thing I need to do. Grab this guy, Control C. This is at 0.05. So we'll go to 0.05 and paste that. So whenever it's empty, it's just going to stay back like this. And it's just locked in place. In fact, let me think. Yeah, because we would want that. So I'll show you how to set up the animation with that, because ideally is what I want to do is I want you to be able to fire the weapon and then go straight to an empty state. So we're actually going to do this a little bit different from how I did one of my previous guns I showcased on here that I did a while back. So let's go into Glock empty. We're just going to go ahead and paste these in here. So they'll pull the trigger, it'll fire, but then it just slides right back and stays back there. And that's where it stays indefinitely until you reload. So the next thing we want to do is we want to go into a reload animation. And the way I'm going to do this, I'm actually going to paste all those keyframes in here. But I don't want the trigger in here. So let me go ahead and remove that. So what I want to do is I actually want to duplicate a magazine, turn it off for now. Magazine reload. And so right here we're actually going to want to get the position of this. So let me just throw that in there real quick. And we will add a keyframe to this. So we're going to just slide this out, probably about 2.5 I think. See how that looks. There we go. And then we're going to simply turn it off. And then right here we'll turn it back on. So it slides out. And there we go. Beautiful. Alright, so right here is what we want to do. Is we are going to do something very similar to what we did just a second ago. The only difference is this is going to be turned on right here. And so right here it'll be off. And so we actually need to add a keyframe at the end of it. Let's go back to this one. We're just going to move it down here so this way it comes in. Let's see, this is magazine reload, so we're actually going to move this down here. No, I'm actually going to do it where it like comes in, and then go ahead and, oops, wrong one. I'm actually going to move it down a little bit. So this way it looks like it's actually being slapped up there. So if we play, there we go. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is we actually have a Glock empty right here, but we want to turn off loop time. And the reason why, because we don't want that to keep looping. Realistically, we don't want any of these to loop. We just want it to play once, and that is it. So I'm going to turn those off, and there we go. So now we get to work inside the animator, and I think that's all we have. What is going on here? Oh, it's because I don't have that selected anymore. Okay, so we have empty, fire, reload, and idle. Beautiful. So I can go ahead and close this out now. Whoa, Unity, easy. Okay, that's just obnoxious. Alright, so we have our idle, we have our fire, we have our reload, and we have our empty state. So we're going to make a transition from here to here. That can go from here to here. That can go from here to here. And that can go from here to here. From reload back to idle, and Glock fire back to here. So we're going to need 3 bools. This will be fire, empty, and one more for reload. Alright, there we go. So, is what's going to happen is when you fire it, it's going to come back down here back into idle. If you fire it and it becomes empty, then it'll go straight over to Glock empty, and here's where it'll stay forever until it's reloaded. If you press R on the keyboard to reload it, it'll come down here and come back up. So, with that in mind, we can go ahead and turn off that this has exit time. We need to make sure that reload is set to true. This will have exit time. The reason why this one has exit time is just simply because we want to play the fire animation and then the Glock empty animation, if I remember correctly. Let me see how I have it set up in here real quick. Reload. Nope, not reload. I want empty. That's what I want. Okay, so it'll actually, this will actually play the fire animation, and then it will be emptied out. So is what we actually need to do is come over here and delete this transition. Now you'll notice with this I'm always kind of dragging these in here, and the only reason why I'm doing that because I want to make sure everything's actually set properly. What I mean by that is I don't have any overlapping on the animations, or I don't have any blending of the animations. So that's actually, it's kind of important. It's not like super important that's going to be like life-threatening or anything, but it definitely makes everything look a lot cleaner. So this one will have exit time. This is just playing the animation, the full animation, and this one's the exact same way. It just plays a full animation, that's it. So, goes into Glock fire, aha. Whoa. Turn that off. We have fire, so that equals true. Reload equals true. Reload equals true. And empty equals true. Okay. So, that should all be set up inside the animator. And so I'm actually going to keep these over here so I can easily see what I'm doing. And we're subtracting the ammo. So is what we're going to do. We already know that this is shoot weapon, so now we can start working on here. We're going to say if I can type, I'm going to say if current ammo equals 1, meaning we have 1 shell left, we're going to say nm.setBool, and we're simply going to say empty, and we'll set this to true. Else current ammo is greater than 1, Wait, why am I doing else? I need to be doing an else if. Come on, Jimmy, get it together. We'll say anim dot set bool. Fire. True. Wow, I'm like spacing out over here. Hate it when that happens. Alright, now is what we want to do is we want to say reload. Oh wait. Anim dot set bool. This will be reload. Is true. Now you could create your own animation states, like where you actually call the individual states by doing a constant string, and basically you just call the name of the string. So instead of having these transition states, you just call these actual animation states by themselves. You could definitely do that, and it's a little bit cleaner in the code. Actually, it's a lot cleaner in the code by doing that, and it makes the animation window a lot nicer to look at, especially when you have like this huge spider web of animation blend states. It's a nightmare. Besides the point. So what we actually want to do, what I'm going to do, I could check to see if the animation's done playing. Instead, I'm just going to create a simple timer. So I'm going to say private float timer, timer L, and all I'm going to do is just simply say if anim dot get bool, and we're going to see if reload, or this is my favorite part, copy and paste, gotta love it. So we're just checking to see if any of these are true, and if any of these are true, is what we're going to do is we're going to say timer minus equals time dot delta time, and we're just going to give it a value of, say, like 0.1. So we're going to say equals 0.1f if timer is less than or equal to 0. Help if I could press the right keys. That would just be awesome. Then we're going to say we actually need to set all these bools to false. Well, actually we don't really want to set them to false. We just want to make sure that it stays in that state until we call it, until we say otherwise. So this will basically say that, you know, you'll be able to shoot and everything like that, which actually tells me we're going to need a private bool, and this will be called can fire, can reload, and we'll get to that here in just a second. And so right now we're doing a check to see if any of these equal true. If they do, then this timer is going to be set back to 0. And so realistically is what we need to do. No, that's actually what we need to do. I'll start with this here in just a second. Or actually, I'm going to go and start with it now. Screw it. Let's do this. So if we're shooting, we're going to minus the time off the timer. We're going to say if timer is equal to 0, then we'll say can fire equals true. And so up here, we need to say and can fire. There we go. On the start, we're going to say can fire equals true. Or we could just simply add it up here by saying equals true. We can do it either way. It doesn't really matter. It's optional. And so we have can reload. Well, we don't really need one for reload now that I think about it. But I'm going to leave it up there just because. So right now we're checking to see if we can fire. And we're actually going to say nm.setBool fire. Set that to false. Booyah. So now what we want to do is we want to check to see if we're reloading. And this is just simple reload. Empty is kind of an important one because if we're empty, then it's not going to be able to play this animation anyways. And an easy way to do that is we'll just do an if check right here. We'll say if current ammo equals or is less than or equal to 0, then, or actually we just need to say if it's greater than 0, and then we can just run all this code inside. That'd be the easiest way of doing it. So as long as it's greater than 0, it'll decrease one of the ammos and then or one of the shells, and then go from there. So yeah, that works. If you're wondering, I am really doing this on the fly. I'm just coming up with the stuff as I go. Yay. Okay, so anyways. So if we're reloading, the first thing we want to do is we want to say I want to say can fire equals false. And then the next thing we want to do is we actually, oh wait, we never set the timer back to whatever we need to. Timer equals 0.1f. There we go. So this is going to reset our fire time, and you can definitely do it up here if you wanted to, completely optional. I'm just choosing to put it down here because lol. And then for the reloads, what we want to do is we actually want to have a reload timer. And so up here we're going to have a reload timer. And I don't know what my reload time is. You'd think I would, but I do not. So let's go into animation. Let's click on this guy. Let's go into reload. It is right at 1 second. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say 1 second. Okay, so now we're going to say reload timer equals 1. Reload timer equals 1. And so the last thing we want to do is we want to make sure that we can fire. And so we're going to set it to true right here. And we can actually do it this way, where we take this one line of code, paste it up here, and there we go. And so if the reload timer is greater than 0, then you will not be able to fire. But once it's down there, then you can fire again. So in theory, that should be all we need. So we'll hit play on the scene. I will press F. Okay, we are empty. Let me go ahead and reload. Okay, so what's going on here is it's still set to empty, and it's still set to reload. So this is the next part we need to do, is we need to set to reload. And we'll set this to empty. There we go. So now this should work. And then after this, we'll add a quick particle effect, and that should be it, I think. So let's test this out real quick. And I am spamming right now. Okay, we are empty. Press R. There we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so 15 rounds. Let me go ahead and reload. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So there's a slight bug with how fast you can fire, but other than that, you get the idea. If you wanted particle effects, that is actually super simple to set up. And I do mean super simple. We'll do a serialized field, game object, and we're going to say shell ejection, and this will be called muzzle flash. And let's go ahead and save that. Come up here. Now, a quick note, just because I set this Glock up in the Animator this way doesn't mean that your gun will necessarily be set up the same way. It'll be set up similar, but you may have different things or different components. Just a side note. So let's go ahead and create a quick particle system. And what I want to do is I want to do an emission. I'm going to set this to 0, and I'm going to add a burst down here. I'm going to say a count of 60. And nah, that should be fine. So the next thing I want to do is actually do a... I don't really want to do a sphere. I think a cone will work actually really good. So I'm going to rotate it this way. Oh, wait, no, I can't do that. The reason why I can't do that because I'm actually going to instantiate it according to the weapon's rotation, and that's actually kind of an important little ordeal. So right here is where it will actually be instantiated from, and that's actually a slight problem. So what I actually need to do is I need to come in here to create empty and move this forward right here. This will be called muzzle flash. I'll duplicate this, bring it back over this way. I actually need to bring it back over this way. And this will be called shell ejection. Okay, there we go. Now I could specify where I want this to be done, but instead I'm actually just going to create a script. And this will be called particle script. We're actually going to get an error with that, so I'm going to create a particle script. Wait for Unity to finish compiling. I'm going to open this up, come back in here, save it, come over here, and this is where we come in and do the serialized field, game object, shell ejection, muzzle flash. And so what we're going to do is we're going to say public void, and this will be called shell casing. We'll instantiate shell casing transform.position. Normally I do a quaternion.identity. However, in this case I actually want to do the transform.rotation of this game object. The next one we're going to do, I'm actually just going to copy that, and instead of calling this shell casing, this will be called I don't know, muzzle part. Then we'll take the muzzle flash and slap it down here, save it, wait for that to go. Come on, you can do it. So we're going to select the muzzle flash and shell ejection. We're going to move the particle script up here, and we have a particle system right here. This will be called muzzle flash, and we need to change the duration to 1. Start lifetime will be 1, and then the next thing we want to do is actually come into color over lifetime. We'll set this. The start color will be kind of a reddish color, and then this right here, it will go to yellow. So we'll do that. I'm actually going to move it down. I'm going to take this, move it in, then I'm going to select this one, and I'm going to drop down the alpha, so this way it fades out real nice and smooth. Next thing I want to do is now I can actually rotate this because it will work off of the proper transform. So that's what I'm going to do. Alright, so the next thing I want to do is actually take this cone, but I want to give it, say, a 165 degree angle. That's a bit much. Oh, 90, that's why, because, yeah. So I want to do 70. And what I want to do is I actually want to lower the start lifetime to 0.3, and the start speed will be 20. 0.1. Okay, so 0.25. Set this to 15. And I'm also going to do a rate over time at 150 and turn off looping, hit play. Let's see, duration, that's why 0.25, that's all I want. Play. Nope, still too much. 0.15 and 0.15. Play. There we go. Okay, beautiful. So the next thing we need to do is I'm going to create one more particle effect, particle system, and this will be called shell casing. And all this one is just going to have a burst of 1, and we're going to come down here to, oh boy, look at that, that's pretty. When you go to the gravity modifier, press 1 on that, and I'm actually going to go into the shape. The shape will be 1 degree for the cone, and the radius will be 0.1. Radius thickness will be 0.1, and there we go. So for the shell ejection, we're actually going to want to rotate it up and rotate it out like so. So that's all we got to do with that. So let's go ahead and select the muzzle flash, drop it in here, shell casing, drop it in here. We'll select the muzzle flash up here, drag this where it says muzzle flash, click on shell ejection, and we will move this over here. So now we can go ahead and delete these. And we're going to come in here, and we've already done the script. So all we need to do is come over here. So I have muzzle flash, which goes with muzzle flash, shell ejection, which goes with shell ejection. So when we hit play and press F, we should now have the particle effects instantiated. I say that, and nothing's happening. Oh, nothing's happening because I haven't told it what to do yet. So back inside the Glock script, if we press this, no matter what, we want to be able to say, what did I call it? Oh, well, it wouldn't really matter because I don't even have the correct thing on here. So we're going to say shell ejection equals shell ejection dot get component, and this will be called particle script. And all I'm going to do is just simply copy this, paste it below, double click on that one, and slap this right here. Okay, so now this is going to be the muzzle flash, and we're going to say muzzle part, and then we're going to say shell ejection dot shell casing. So what's going on is I'm saying, okay, this script and this script, I'm going to call this and this. So these will get called right here, and it'll instantiate these particles. You'd think I would have remembered to do that, but I did not. So things happen. Simple fix. Now when I hit F on the keyboard, pew, pew. I know it's not super fancy, but you get the idea. And it looks like I actually... Oh, that's interesting. There we go. So we have these particles that are living forever. The last thing you might want to do is create a C# script, and this will just be called a destroy script. This is the absolute last thing you're going to want to do. And all we're going to do is say start coroutine, destroy weight, i.e. numerator, and we're going to say destroy weight. We're going to say yield return new wait 4 seconds, and let's just say, I don't know, 1 second. We'll say destroy game object. The other thing you can do is you can actually come up here and say public float wait timer, and simply put this in here, and whenever you attach this script to whatever you want to destroy, you can actually specify the time that you want to destroy. So a good example is like the shell casing. Well, we may, oh, come on. So the shell casing, we may want to wait 1 second. Whereas the muzzle flash, that's the Glock script, Jimmy. The muzzle flash, we only want to say 0.17. And so when we come in here and we actually start shooting this weapon, we won't have a bunch of prefabs that are staying instantiated. So as you can see right there, they delete after 1 second. Hit reload. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Beautiful, although I probably miscounted, but that's okay. Now, one of the things I'm noticing is this is going off in the wrong direction. To fix that, all we need to do is click on the shell ejection. You can see that the Y is shooting up on this side. This is the right one, right? Should be. All I'm going to do is rotate it this way, 90 degrees. And now when we press F, we'll see that it's actually getting ejected out. Now, you could do several things with this particle system. You could actually, a good example is you could actually come in here and set the start speed to, say, I don't know, 15, but then add 3 or multiply it by 3 for the gravity modifier. What is going on? Oh, I don't have numlock on. I was like, wait, what? There we go. So, yeah, that was duh. Which I did not modify the speed, because I said 15. There we go. So now when we press F, we have a much better looking shell ejection. So, which we also have an issue with the muzzle flash, but that would just be simply rotating it this way. And so by rotating it that way, you can see that this is the last thing that whenever we fire, it actually looks proper. And I know this is a real basic video and everything, but I figured I'd just show you like my simple work process on prototyping for something like this. Hope y'all enjoyed. I shall see y'all later.